Welcome, this is Birendra Kumar Jha and you are watching Khabar Tah Tak. In the sequence of stories of superhit films shown on Khabar Tah Tak, the new link of story that I bring to you today is the story of film Mr. and Mrs. 55. This film was released on the silver screen in 1955 and was one of the five most grossing film of that year. Gurudatta directed this film, and the lead role in this film were played by Gurudatta and Madubala. The role of villain were played by Lalita Pawar and Johnny Walker, and others played character role in this film. This film included many a beautiful dance scene and melodious song as well. The music director of this film was O.P. Nayyar, and the voiceover in the song of this film were made by Muhammad Rafi, Geeta Dutt, and Samsad Begum. However, almost all the songs in this film were melodious, yet जाने कहाँ मेरा जिगर गया जी अभी अभी यहीं तक किधर गया जी किसी की अदाओं पे मर गया जी बड़ी बड़ी अखियों से डर गया जी एंड चल दिए बंदा नमाज छेड़ कर मेरे दिल का तार चल दिए बंदा नमाज छेड़ कर मेरे दिल का तार हम तरसते ही रहे जलबे बरसते ही रहे सुनिए मिस्टर चालबाज बनिए ना बढ़ती रंदाज और कोई घर ढूंढिए इनको या मत फेंकिए सुनिए मिस्टर चालबाज बनिए ना बढ़ती रंदाज. Now listen the entire story of film Mr. and Mrs. 55. The story of the film Mr. and Mrs. 55 begins with a young man selling newspapers. To sell as many newspapers as possible, the young man repeatedly repeats a news item published in the newspaper that mentions a discussion on divorce in parliament. One of the newspaper buyers is a young woman named Anita, played by Madhubala. Anita lives with her aunt Sita Devi, her father's sister, played by Lalita Pawar. She hates men and calls them opportunist and lustful. She has instilled this same sentiment in Anita's mind. Therefore, she is delighted to read the divorce news in the newspaper and goes to show it to her aunt Sita Devi. When Anita returns home with the newspaper in her hand, her aunt is having a party with women who harbor hatred for men, delivering various lectures against men. When Anita shows her aunt Sita Devi the news in the newspaper, all the women are overjoyed and ask if they will soon be granted the right to divorce and be free from the terror of men. Anita is in love with Ramesh, a tennis player played by A.I. Nasir. However, Ramesh does not love her because her aunt Sita Devi does not like men. Undeterred, Anita repeatedly meets with Ramesh secretly, encouraging him to excel in tennis. One day, while her aunt Sita Devi is holding a meeting with liberal-minded women at her home, one of her maids informs her that Anita isn't home and that she has gone to watch a tennis match in which Ramesh is playing. However, her other maid tells her that Anita is not feeling well and has not gone anywhere but is sleeping in her room. Sita Devi then goes to check on Anita herself, and upon not finding her, sends one of her maids to look for her. Unaware of the household matters, Anita encourages Ramesh to win his tennis match again and again. Just then she sees her maid approaching. She understands the whole situation and runs around, avoiding her gaze. In the process, she meets a young man named Preetham, a cartoonist who is currently struggling with intense emotions due to unemployment. Role of Pritam is played by Gurudatta in this film. Here, Anita and Pritam shows are exchanged, and when this is repaired, Pritam finds one of Anita's handkerchief. Anita's maid takes her home, saying that her aunt is looking for her. When Anita returns home with the maid, her aunt Sita Devi asks her where did she go. Anita talks about going to a doctor. Her aunt Sita Devi tells her that the maid brought her from where Ramesh was playing a tennis match. She then explains to Anita that all men are the same, selfish, so she should never think of loving or marrying Ramesh. With this advice, she leaves, but Anita continues to meet Ramesh, making excuses. Once she meets Ramesh at a swimming pool where he is enjoying a swim. When Anita mentions marriage to him, he refuses, saying he is currently going to London. Anita tells him to marry her before leaving, and then they will go together. Ramesh insists on thinking about it and then responding. Anita tells him that they will go to a movie today and the marriage will be finalized there. Ramesh, unwilling to marry Anita, contemplates how to tell Anita that he has refused to marry her. Just then he sees Johnny, whose role is played by Johnny Walker, arriving there. He suggests Johnny going to the movie. Johnny agrees to go without spending any money. Ramesh then gives him 2 cinema tickets and a letter, telling him to take the letter and go to the cinema hall to watch the movie and give it to Anita, the girl sitting next to him, in which he has written about his refusal to marry her. Johnny arrives at the cinema hall with the cinema tickets and Ramesh letter and finds Lily already sitting there. To get Lily's attention, he begins searching for someone who can give Ramesh letter to Anita. Then he spots Pritam. He calls Pritam and explains everything, gives him Ramesh letter and convinces him to give it to Anita. When Pritam gives Anita the letter, Anita reads it, becomes angry at Ramesh, leaves Pritam there and walks out of the cinema hall. After this incident, Anita returns home saddened and tells her aunt Sita Devi about Ramesh's refusal to marry her. Sita Devi is secretly pleased by this, but concealing her feelings, she tells Anita ostensibly, I used to say that all men are the same. Ramesh turned out to be one of them, but that's okay. We will continue to enjoy our lives as we choose. A few days later, Anita's 21st birthday is being celebrated with great pomp when the family lawyer arrives there. The lawyer reads out a will written by Sita Devi's late brother and Anita's father. According to the will, his 7 million rupees deposit should be given to Anita instead of her sister Sita Devi. However, to receive this amount, Anita must marry someone and start a family by the age of 21. Sita Devi begins to dismiss the will's condition as untrue, but the lawyer explains that the condition is written in the will. He also states that this condition was made because her sister Sita Devi would not marry her daughter without it and would make her a misandrist. After the lawyer leaves, Sita Devi tells Anita that she will secretly arrange a marriage for her and then get her a divorce, which will inherit her father's 70 lakh, that is 7 million rupees property, allowing them to live a comfortable life. With Anita agreeing, Sita Devi sets about implementing her plan. Meanwhile, Pritam, despite being a skilled cartoonist, is facing several financial hardships due to lack of work. During this time, he manages to survive by borrowing money from his friend Johnny. Even the owner of the room he lives in threatens to evict him for not paying the rent. Then Pritam and Johnny stage a play. Pritam pretends to be sick and lies down while Johnny calls a doctor. The doctor arrives and says that Pritam does not need medicine but needs 3 times meal a day. Johnny tells the doctor he is unemployed. How can he offer 3 times meals a day? You can arrange for 1 meal a day, relegate one of your staff and hire him. The doctor then takes his fee and leaves, saying that Pritam will have to fend her for himself. Johnny then tells Pritam's landlady how happy she would be if she had children. She replies that she would be very happy. Johnny then tells her that if he had children, he would be as big as Pritam today. The landlady replies that he would be exactly that big. Then Johnny makes his final move, saying, Pritam is lying here so grown up, just like your son. Why don't you consider him your own son? Pritam is landlady emotional and offers to feed and care for Pritam. Johnny falls in love with Lily, a young woman who works in his office, but initially Lily ignores him. Instead, she threatens him with telling everything to the editor. However, by repeatedly meeting with Lily under various pretexts, Johnny succeeds in winning Lily's affection. One day, Pritam takes a cartoon to Sharma ji, the newspaper editor, with a cartoon. Sharma, the newspaper editor, does praise Pritam's cartoons but dismisses Pritam's request for a job, saying he already has a cartoonist working for him and he cannot replace him. Pritam is about to leave after Sharma's remark when Sharma receives a call from Sita Devi. Sita Devi asks Sharma to tell her about an unemployed young man who could be an employee for her niece Anita. Sharma tells her that a similar young man is sitting with him who has come here looking for work. Sita Devi mentions his education. Sharma reveals that he is a graduate. Sita Devi then asks Sharma to send him her home immediately. Sharma then gives Pritam the address of Sita Devi's home and tells him to go there and join the job. Pritam, wearing a raincoat and a hat, comes to Sita Devi looking for a job. Sita Devi first interrupts him in the name of manners, saying, Don't you even know that hats and this raincoat are not worn indoors? Pritam takes off his hat but refuses, saying that his trousers are in bad shape, so he cannot take out the raincoat. Sita Devi then questions him about his poverty and why he has been unemployed for so long. Pritam explains his lack of employment. Sita Devi then offers to marry her niece Anita, but when she offers pay him 250 rupees a month, but he promised never to see his wife after marriage and he will be willing to divorce her whenever she wishes. Upon hearing these marriage conditions, Pritam gets up and leaves, saying he does not want to enter into such a selfish marriage. But on his way back, when he sees Anita's photo hanging on the wall, he returns to Sita Devi and gives his consent to the marriage. Sita Devi then tells him to come to the marriage registrar's office on the 20th. Sita Devi also informs Anita about his marriage, but does not reveal to whom. On the scheduled date, Pritam arrives at the marriage registrar's office and meets Anita. Anita's aunt Sita Devi is currently at the registrar's office, so Pritam goes to Anita to pass the time. Anita tells him that she is getting married today, but she does not like the man she is going to be married. Pritam asks Anita if she has seen her future husband. Anita claims she hasn't seen him, so Pritam asks her why she is already thinking bad about him since she hasn't even seen him. Why are you harboring misconceptions? Anita replies, I am angry with him for his wanting to marry me for 250 rupees a month, not to earn a living by working. Pritam is still trying to explain. Maybe it's not what you think, but something else is the reason he wants to marry you. Then Anita receives a call from the marriage registrar's office and she goes inside. The registrar gives her a paper with the terms of the marriage written on it and asks her to read it. Then the registrar summons the groom and Pritam arrives as the groom, which irritates Anita. Pritam ignores her and sits next to her. The registrar then gives her a paper with the terms of the marriage, asking her to read it and understands everything. The registrar then asks them both to sign the marriage application. Pritam signs it graciously, but Anita, in anger, signs it and leaves, followed by Pritam. Then Anita's aunt Sita Devi hands Pritam a check for 250 rupees, telling him never to meet Anita again and to divorce her whenever she so desires. When Anita, despite being married to refuses to see Pritam arrives at the newspaper office with his friend Johnny. Seeing him, Sharma, the editor, asking, "How is your job at the Sita Devi's house going on?" Pritam replies, "I am fed up with this strange job and want to quit." Sharma then tells him that if he doesn't like it, he can take a job as a cartoonist, as the old cartoonist is no longer coming to work. Pritam then begins working for the newspaper as a cartoonist. One day he publishes a unique cartoon depicting Sita Devi and Anita citing the terms of his marriage, which sparks a frenzy of purchase. Anita's mind made seeing the cartoon, shows it to Anita and Sita Devi. Sita Devi then approaches Pritam, hands him a check under the predetermined fee for the marriage, asking why he published such a cartoon when she is already paying him according to the marriage condition. Pritam replies that he is only receiving money, not his wife's love. Sita Devi then asks Pritam to divorce his wife, but Pritam refuses. Sita Devi declares that she will obtain a divorce by filing a lawsuit alleging that he abuses Anita at home. Pritam replies, "Do whatever you want, but I am not going to give you a divorce." He then explains that the court will reject his divorce petition, arguing that his wife does not even live with him and how he can continue to torture her. Sita Devi then leaves and reveals something that further fuels Anita's hatred for Pritam. One day, Johnny plans to go to a dance club with his girlfriend Lily. When Pritam arrives, seeing him, Lily suggests he join them. Johnny is a little taken aback, but Pritam joins them. Anita is also present. Anita is Lily's school friend, so Lily takes her to meet her husband Johnny and his friend Pritam. Pritam and Anita, despite already knowing each other, act as if they are meeting for the first time. Anita then leaves to sing and Lily begins dancing with Johnny. Watching the music dance at the dance club, Pritam becomes overwhelmed and wishes Anita would be dancing hand in hand with him, just like the others. Returning from the dance club, Johnny sees Pritam looking very sad and asks him why. When Pritam explains, he suggests a plan. According to this plan, Pritam and Johnny stop near Anita's house, where her driver is cleaning the car. Johnny approaches the driver and, praising his mustache, mops it out. He then learns that Anita will soon be traveling somewhere in the car. He then compliments the driver's mustache and suggests walking alongside him to have something to eat. At first, the driver refuses to go with him, saying that Anita's mistress needs to leave immediately. But despite this, Johnny calls him over, saying that they will stay nearby, and as soon as Anita's mistress comes to sit in the car, he will come and pick her up and leave. As soon as the driver leaves, Pritam, wearing a hat, sits in the driver's seat. Anita leaves the house, gets into the car and asks the driver to drive, and Pritam begins to drive quickly. Seeing this, the driver turns back, but by then Pritam has already driven a long distance with Anita. Anita initially does not recognize Pritam sitting in the driver's seat because he is wearing a hat. But when she looks closely, she gets angry at him and asks him to stop the car. She insists, but Pritam insists on not stopping the car. When Anita suggests jumping out, Pritam says she can jump, but it won't slow the car down. Anita becomes frightened and remains in the car. As darkness slowly sets in, Pritam stops the car in forested area and pretends to fix the engine. When Anita asks, he explains that if the engine is not fixed, they will have to spend the night in the forest, and if not, Anita will have to push the car from behind so it can be quickly taken to a mechanic for repairs, and then they can continue their journey. Anita starts pushing the car from behind, and Pritam, holding the steering wheel, begins to steer the car forward. The car starts, and Pritam takes Anita with him to his sister-in-law's house. Stopping the car near the door, Pritam asks Anita to get out of the car and accompany him to his sister-in-law's house, but Anita refuses. Pritam then picks her up in his arms and begins to carry her. Seeing his sister-in-law in front of him, he becomes embarrassed and puts her down and touches her feet. His sister-in-law asks him why he is carrying Anita in this manner. Pritam explains that she sprained her ankle, so he was carrying her inside the house. Pritam's sister-in-law then asks him about marrying Anita, and Pritam tells her that she is still a virgin and will remain so for another 20 years. Pritam's sister-in-law then tells him to take Anita to the upstairs room and goes to prepare dinner for everyone. Pritam asks Anita to come upstairs, but Anita offers to carry him. When Pritam refuses, she calls out to his sister-in-law. Pritam then picks her up and takes her to the top floor. When the children burst out laughing at the sight of them, Pritam leaves, asking Anita to take care of the child. In a short while, the children bond with Anita, and Anita also bond with them, as well as their mother, Pritam's sister-in-law. When she questions Pritam's sister-in-law about the restrictions on her freedom due to having so many children, Pritam's sister-in-law tells her that this is the joy of motherhood, a joy only woman experiences. The joy of raising children and caring for family members is unmatched. Money cannot even buy it. Hearing this, Anita falls in love with Pritam, and Pritam also falls in love with Anita. Pritam and Anita's love affair lasted only a few days, when one day Anita's aunt arrives in a car with her maid and Pritam comes downstairs. At first, she demands Pritam divorce Anita, promising to give him money. However, Pritam questions her about how much money she would take to free Anita from her clutches. Hearing this, Anita's aunt Sita Devi becomes angry and calls Anita to her. Pritam claims she does not know whereabouts of Anita, but Sita Devi explains, "Look, this guy has forcibly brought you here and is also preventing you from meeting me." Hearing this, Anita feels that Pritam will now keep her under control. She then goes to her aunt Sita Devi and returns home with her. After Anita leaves, Pritam returns to Mumbai and meets his friend Johnny. Johnny is surprised by sudden arrival of Pritam and questions him about his arrival. Pritam then explains everything to Johnny, mentioning that he is getting a bottle of liquor. Johnny's girlfriend overhears this and leaves angrily. Johnny retorts that he always suffers losses because of him. First bear his expenses, then he will buy clothes. Now he is even driven his girlfriend away. Pritam listens to all this but doesn't respond. He asks Johnny to arrange for an empty liquor bottle and two girls. Pritam places the empty liquor bottle on the table, holding the two girls in his arms, and asks Johnny to take a photo. Although Pritam's mistress' arrival causes a brief interruption, but Johnny finally takes the photo and gives it to Pritam. Pritam takes the photo and the checks that Anita's aunt Sita Devi periodically given her as a wedding fee. Seeing Pritam come to her house, Sita Devi first insults him and then asks the doorman to throw him out. But the doorman does not come. Pritam tells her, "You guys don't have love in your hearts. You only care about money, so take this photo. You can accuse me of misconduct and get a divorce from anyone." Quote. He also returns the check she gave him. Anita's aunt Sita Devi further infuriated Anita by showing her the photograph of Pritam, saying that Pritam has had relationship with several women before and that he earns his living this way because he is unemployed. He is pretending to love her too so he can extort money from her. When Anita asked her how did she get hold of this photo of Pritam, Sita Devi further inflames Anita's anger by saying that this photo of Pritam is given to her by Pritam's victim. Sita Devi then files a divorce case in court based on these allegations. In court, Pritam admits that the photographs belonging to him, but he flatly denies that the girls are of bad characters. Hearing this from Pritam, Anita begins to doubt her aunt Sita Devi, but despite everything, her divorce claim from Pritam was accepted by the court. After her divorce from Pritam, when Anita returns home with her aunt Sita Devi, she becomes depressed. Seeing this, one of her maids convinces her that marriage does not destroy one's freedom. Instead, it fosters love for one another. After listening to the maid, Anita's anger towards Pritam subsides and she begins to fall in love with him. But she asked the maid that if his love grew through marriage, why didn't Pritam come to convince her? Here her maid explains that if he didn't come, she could have gone and loved him too. Pritam's friend Johnny is deeply saddened by the news of Pritam's divorce from Anita. He tells Pritam that he had no idea that he would take a photo and use it in this way. He tells Pritam that while exploiting girls is wrong, it is also not right to betray their love in this way. Pritam replies that even the passion of lovers must have limits. So he had such a photo taken and gave it to Anita's aunt Sita Devi. Johnny replies that while doing so, he didn't look at Anita, who secretly loved him despite having filed for divorce. Pritam then talks about going to Delhi and not returning to Mumbai again. While Pritam prepares to leave for Delhi, Johnny arrives to meet Anita. Anita initially becomes angry when he mentions Pritam, but Johnny relents when he tells her that he took the photo at Pritam's behest, hoping that it would be published in the newspaper and she would fall in love with him. Johnny tells Anita that the girl in the photo bears no relation to Pritam and is a paid artist. He also tells Anita that Pritam was previously unemployed, but he was always looking for work and is now earning a good living as a newspaper cartoonist. He then reveals that Pritam was not after her money but rather he for her love. He returned all the checks he received as part of his marriage to your aunt Sita Devi as a part of his marriage terms. Anita tells Pritam's friend Johnny that her aunt Sita Devi had told her that the photo was given to her by one of the girls Pritam had harassed and that she hadn't returned the money also. Johnny then says, if you don't believe me, I'll give you the negative which I still have. Anita feels remorse and falls in love with Pritam. Johnny then tells her that Pritam will be leaving for Delhi forever on the 8 a.m. flight the next morning. Hearing this from Pritam's friend Johnny, Anita returns home angry at her aunt and tells her that she had told him that a girl had given her the photo, but Pritam himself had given her the photo and had also returned all the checks given to him as part of the marriage. Sita Devi then says whatever was supposed to happen has happened. Now you have to go to court tomorrow and get a divorce certificate. Anita declares that she will no longer seek a divorce certificate from the court but will instead go and live with Pritam. Sita Devi then locks her in a room and goes to retrieve Anita and Pritam's divorce certificate from the court so that she could get the property of her brother and Anita's father. Pritam arrives at the airport the next day to go to Delhi and finds a ticket for the evening flight. He stops near the airport and waits for his flight. Anita, locked in her room, desperately tries to escape and meet Pritam. Then an idea strikes her and she ties several saris together, jumps out of the window, catching a taxi, and heads towards the airport. On the way, she meets Pritam's friend Johnny and his girlfriend. They both also get into the car to stop Pritam from going to Delhi. Despite their haste, when their taxi arrives at the airport, the Delhi-bound plane has already taken off, leaving Anita deeply saddened. Just then, Pritam places his hand on her shoulder from behind. Anita, shocked by this, says she won't let him to go anywhere now. Saying this, she embraces Pritam. Pritam then tells her that people at the airport are watching them. What will they say if they see her doing this? Anita then says that people will only say that an unfaithful husband is leaving his wife and the wife is trying to convince him. The story of the film Mr. and Mrs. 55 ends with this scene of their embrace.